Yo, what's good people? Today we have a special video. Today I'm going to be doing my Tekken 8 Season 2 wishlist for Raven. So we are actually going to be jumping back in time a little bit. So we're going to revisit T6 and T7 and then end off with T8 to kind of round off my Season 2 wishlist. I feel like there's a lot of things that they did forget about the character, such iconic attacks that they've forgotten about this character. So we're going to run through some stuff from T6 and T7. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Like will help with the algorithm. Commenting will also help with the algorithm, and subscribing will let me know that you enjoy the content. Let's get into it. This game is so sick. Look how iconic this game is. I feel like they've missed so much with this character. Like, just even the costume is crazy. I feel like Raven did have a lot of strange attacks in this game. So he had back 2, 4, 3+4, which is actually a low high. As you can see, the low hits just before. So if you stand block, you will get hit by this move. You have to duck. But then obviously Raven's really punishable after the attack. So he also has his attack from Haze as well. You see? Quite slow. So the low's not that good. But he did have some quite cool attacks, I think. And of course, he did have a clone. So that's why you're seeing kind of like Haze versions of Raven, because that's the clone of Raven, right? So they kind of did keep that element of Raven's gameplay with tweaks. I mean, to be honest, I prefer Tekken 8's versions of the clone. I guess they are a little bit unsafe at -14 and obviously -3 in heat, which I think is fine. I don't think the clones need to be more safe. I mean, down forward 1-4, high risk, high reward move. I think the clones and the kind of risk reward behind throwing the clones out are fine. I think they're fine as they are. However, I would like to see some of Raven's iconic moves like down forward 3+4 return, because right now he doesn't have a power mid from crouch dash or wave dash. And what I mean by that is QSF1 is way worse than T7. Now we are going to revisit this move in Tekken 7 to see why this move was so good and the properties of this move. So we are going to revisit QCF1 in older games. I mean, in this game it wasn't that good either, but I feel like at least he has other mids that give him some decent reward, you know? While Standing 3 doesn't do the same thing in Tekken 8 because of While Standing 3 2, right? It's a launcher. But in this game, it wall splat, it knocked down for Oki. You see? So he did at least have some power mids, whereas I feel like that's a little bit lacking in Tekken 8, especially by Tekken 8 standards as well. So I feel like maybe reintroduce down forward 3+4 as a power mid. Now it doesn't have to do anything crazy. It doesn't have to counter hit launch. It doesn't have to knock down. However, I feel like this move does a lot of damage by itself. So we're going to look at the damage. You see, it does a chunk of damage. So this is quite a decent power mid. You see, 25 damage. So that's quite a decent chunk of damage. And he doesn't have any safer mid options that do this sort of damage. He has to commit to While Standing 3 2. He has to commit to the launch. And then he has like QCF 1+2, but it's slow. So it's like you can just react. So I think down forward 3+4 would be a really good addition to his moveset in Tekken 8 in Season 2. The other move I think they can introduce is forward 1+2. Now, of course, this move already has, this input already has a move attached to it, which is his Power Crush, right? So I propose down back 1+2. He doesn't have ultimate tackle anymore. So I think this game's forward 1+2 could be reintroduced as down back 1+2 in Tekken 8. Now, why I think this move can be really good is because I think this move, along with buffed invincibility frames, because as we all know, his phase through moves like this, they're not as effective in Tekken 8 as they are in Tekken 7 and older games, right? These actually have real invincibility frames, whereas the ones in Tekken 7, they don't really. But like these have real invincibility frames, whereas the invincibility frames are weird. Very weird. Like you can clip Raven from the back, you know, at an angle. Is really strange. So I feel like they did nerf the invincibility frames of the phase through attacks. So I feel like along with a buff to his phase through, introduce this move because he can be tricky and stay in the front. I think it would just be a cool attack to kind of introduce for mix-ups and trickery. So you can actually end up in the back, right? By holding nothing, or you can hold back and stay in the front, right? But the reason why I want this move to come back is he has issues with plus frames. And yes, he has back 1 and he has back 3. But first of all, back 1, he's forced into soul zone. So the plus frames are not really that great because his options out of stance are not that quick, right? His fastest option out of stance is soul zone 1. And it's just a poke high. I feel like for how slow back 3 is, it should be more plus. Or what they can do is add a charge mechanic to this move. So if I hold 1+2, it charges and maybe be like +8 or something. Maybe do some chip damage. Maybe have a kind of guard break mechanic in heat. I think that would be cool, because I feel like they're just getting rid of moves that actually are cool. Down forward 3+4, forward 1+2. Like, these moves are actually really cool, and they're just getting rid of them. I don't understand why. Like, this move is actually super iconic. Down forward 3+4 for neutral, of course. Or he can do it from crouch dash, right? And then from wave dash, right? So this gives him more of a threatening option, I think, mid-wise. Because this move now would be Aqua Spider. Obviously, he still does have full crouch 3, but this version, what I'm doing is Aqua Spider's input. So this would be Aqua Spider, and then to mix it up, he would have down forward 3+4, which I think would be super sick to have. Now, another move we're going to talk about throughout the iterations is up back 1-2. Now, I think this move can be changed to I13 to give him a better I13 while standing punish. Because right now, he only has while standing 2, while standing 4, and that's it until 40, which I think is very poor, considering most characters in Tekken 8 have very good punishment now. Raven has great standing punishment, down forward 1-4, forward 4 is now launch. So he has really good standing punishment. 2-4 is quite good as well. You know, 4-1. He doesn't have forward in this game, but yeah, 4-1. I think he has good punishment. I just think his while standing punishment is a little bit lacking. So I feel like maybe give him a new I13 while standing punishment. Or if you don't want to do that, give him an I13 with this move. I'm not sure how quick this move is. I think it's I16. But I'm not too sure. We are going to check it out in games that actually have frame data in it. Otherwise, I have to look it up on a website. But I feel like up back 1-2 in Tekken 8 does 24 damage and is -2 on hit. So I feel like you can just keep the minus frames on hit, right? -2 is fine. A trade-off for that is to make it I13, just to give him some more damage, because I feel like there's a lot of matchups where characters can abuse their -13 lows. You know, Brian's Hatchet, Dragunov's down 2. We can only get while standing 4. Or if you're super sick, a crouch cancel 2-4, which I do on Hatchet sometimes if I'm on point. So those are the only moves I would really kind of take away from Tekken 6. He has, as I said, weird attacks, but generally I feel like his more gimmicky attacks are not really that great. I feel like forward 1+2 has a lot of potential to return. Just buff his invincibility frames with phase for attacks. I think it's bugged at the moment. They don't really act as invincibility frames anymore. Barely any. So yeah, I would like to see a buff on these moves. You know, all the moves that he can phase through. Forward 1+2 return with some trickery with clones. I think that could be cool. And then also down forward 3+4 as a return for power mid. Those are my changes that I would take away from Tekken 6 and implement into Tekken 8. Okay, so now we're in Tekken 7. Now, I really miss Master Raven. Now, it's not I don't like Tekken 8 Raven. I really love Tekken 8 Raven, but they're just not the same character. So a lot of people, when they see me say, you know, I miss Master Raven, they're like, you're not happy, you guys are never happy. And I'm just like, just because I miss Master Raven doesn't mean I don't enjoy current Tekken 8 Raven. I still think Tekken 8 Raven is super cool. I just think Master Raven's tools were such fun to play with. Like, we're going to run through some Tekken 7 stuff. Okay, so the first one that we're going to touch upon is QCF1, right? Like, this was one of her best attacks in neutral, and from crouch dash, like, this move was just excellent. And the reason why it was so good is because you could hit confirm it for so long. Like, the hit confirm window was so big. So it gave her a very strong power mid that was basically safe, because any competent Raven could train themselves to hit confirm and react to the hit and then press 2, right? So this move was super good. So this move was a 34 damage hit confirmable mid string, which also counter hit launched. And the second hit also counter hit launched. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. You see? And she could also do haze, but the thing is, she could crouch dash out of haze. So imagine if Raven could crouch dash out of soul zone and then cancel. You could do so much trickery with this character, like around surrounding this move. See? Like, this character's small Tekken was so good. So that's why I really enjoyed playing this character. Around QCF1 and her neutral tools were really good. So I would like to see QCF1 get some love. I've been saying this for so long, but I feel like Raven has a lack of, in Tekken 8, a lack of power mid that's safe or hit confirmable or has low risk, because all of his mids that do damage now are, you know, while standing 1, while standing 3-2, right? He doesn't have any power mids that do damage that are not super unsafe, right? Yes, QCF 1-2 is a power mid, but again, it's slow when you can react to it. So it's like there's no mix with Hell Sweep or even Aqua Spider at this point, right? There's no mix. It's like, okay, while standing 4, okay, cool. While standing 2, okay, cool. But like when we compare 17 damage to 34, that's double the damage I'm getting from a hit confirmable, you know, QCF 1-2. So if you don't hit confirm the string and just let it rip, this is -13. So I'm going to show you the frames. You see, -13. I don't think they should change that frame advantage at all. I think -13 is perfectly fine for the move. I just think if you're going to make it -14, like, give us a hit confirm window so that there's actually some risk behind you failing the hit confirm, right? The second thing to say about QCF1 in Tekken 8 is that you can't convert from the counter hit unless you go into Haze Soul Zone in Tekken 8, right? So it's weaker by design. I think it's fine. I just think just give it a hit confirm window. Obviously, one of my changes for Tekken 8 Raven is to give Soul Zone some mobility options like this. So Soul Zone forward equals crouch dash. I want the same level of mobility from stances that Master Raven had from Haze. Like, Raven has the white hole stuff, right? But he doesn't have the crouch dash stuff, right? And I think this will be sick to have. You see? Another move I think needs and deserves some love is back turn down 4. Now, we are going to touch upon it a lot more in Tekken 8 and compare characters' new lows that act as this type of low, but it's not generic anymore, right? They didn't give Raven that. They kept Raven's generic down 4, and now it's launch on block, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. So the reason why this move was so good was because it was -11 and very hard to punish, because the startup was actually I-10, which is the same as a jab, right? So this was such a good move. Now, I'm not saying to make it I-10 in Tekken 8. It's I-12, which is the same as this startup, right? So it has the same startup as this. So this is 2 frames quicker from back turn than it is in full crouch or generic, right? But Raven doesn't have a generic down 4. She has one from full crouch and back turn, which back turn is quicker, right? So back turn, you can keep it I-12. So startup frames 12. But I think it shouldn't be -15 on block. I think -12 or 13 is fair. This move does 12 damage on hit, right? So in Tekken 8, it does 6, which is half. I think it's fair to buff it by like 3 damage, maybe 9 or 10 damage is fair. Maybe 8, 9, 10, that kind of range. I think buff it a little bit. Don't buff it crazy. And it's +3 on hit, which is insane. Into full crouch, right? So this was a thing. While standing 2 was a thing. So this is what happens when I press a jab, right? So I'm mashing jab and I'm getting launched, trade launched, right? So this move was so good, but obviously they killed the move in Tekken 8, which is really sad. So I think back turn down 4 really does deserve some love, because either that or give him a quick low that high crushes, like Lily's, for example. She got a new low that high crushes that's not launch on block, that counter hit knocks down. I'm not asking for counter hit knockdown low. I just want back turn down 4 back, but not as good as this one. I'm not saying make it as good as this version. I'm just saying maybe make it in between Tekken 8 and Tekken 7 in terms of how strong it is, because this is like super strong, right? Maybe make it 0 on hit, +1 on hit. Make it 8 to 9 damage and -13 or -12 on block, because the startup is already slower as well. So doing stuff like this, which was one of her common flow charts, is weaker if the low is slower, right? So again, this move definitely deserves some love. Okay, the final thing I'm going to touch upon from Tekken 7. So we've touched upon having Haze or Soul Zone mobility options with crouch dash and cancelling the crouch dash and all that stuff. We've talked about QCF1 and the kind of hit confirm window. We've talked about back turn down 4. Now, the other one I would like to see come back is the return of her throw game from back turn. So I'm not saying make Undertaker as strong as it is in neutral, because it does 45 damage, right? I'm not saying make it the same as in neutral. Like what they could do to balance it is, I think, maybe nerf the damage, right? Because in Tekken 8 it does 40 damage just normally. So the input for Undertaker throw in Tekken 8 is up forward 1+2. Now it's a different input in this game, a harder input. Half circle back forward 1+2. You see? So I think what they could do is perhaps make back turn Undertaker 35 damage because it's a mix-up, right? I don't think it should do the same damage as regular Undertaker from neutral. I just think they need to implement Raven's back turn throw game, because Raven always had a back turn throw game. So in Tekken Tag 2, Tekken 6, Tekken 5, whatever, generic throws like this, 1+3 and 2+4, they acted as command throws in a way, because you could only break this throw with 2 button and you could only break the 1+3 with 1, right? So they kind of did act as command throws in their own way. They just did less damage. As you can see, you did 35 damage. Right? I propose keep Raven's generic throws, either make them mix-ups with the generics, make them mix-ups like they were in Tekken Tag 2 and Tekken 6, Tekken 5, retain that mix-up, but obviously they do generic damage. Or what you can do is add back turn 1+4 back, but have generic damage. Don't make the throw do 45 damage or 40 damage. Just make it do 35 like a regular generic grab, right? I don't think I'm asking for too much here. I don't think I'm making Raven overtuned. I think if I'm asking for it to do 45 damage, it would be overtuned, right? I'm trying to balance the move. I'm trying to balance his iconic moveset. Raven always had a back turn throw mix, and to top it off, Feng back turn throw mix, Hwoarang back turn throw mix, Ling Xiaoyu jumping back turn throw mix. Why are they keeping back turn throw mixes and then removing the back turn characters back turn throw mix? I just don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. So I would like to see his throw game come back. If they don't make generic throw system changes, I would like to see back turn Undertaker throw back as a 1+2 break from back turn, right? Because in order to break this from back turn, you press 1+2. So this would be 6 to come back as well. So those are kind of the changes that I would like to see from Tekken 7. As I said, she did have a lot more tools. Like she had a Magic 4, and this actually launched on some characters. She had a launching 4-1. Raven does not have that anymore. Of course, it jails. So I'm not saying make it counter hit launch. I'm just saying, you know, Raven did lose some of their counter hit tools. So I'm not asking for, you know, Magic 4 back or anything like that. I'm just saying Master Raven was a much stronger character overall. Neutral wise, back turn wise, throw game wise, like, you know. So I'm not asking to make Raven broken, right? I just want to see the iconic stuff come back. I want to see what made Raven come back, because they stripped the character of that, and I feel like they're removing his uniqueness and identity out of the character, which is kind of sad to see. Of course, Raven is still fun to play, right? But I just think his identity is kind of being lost a little bit. Now, I do prefer, one thing I do prefer with Tekken 8 Raven is his combo game. His combo game is sick, so I do like his combo game, and generally his movement feels a little bit more fluid. Even though Master Raven's backdash technically is better than Raven's in Tekken 8, that's just because backdash across the board is better. I personally think Raven's backdash in Tekken 8 is better than Master Raven's relative to the game. So like relative to the cast, Raven's backdash in Tekken 8 is actually higher tier than Master Raven's backdash relative to Tekken 7's cast, if that makes sense. So again, I do like Tekken 8 Raven. I just think his identity is being lost a little bit. Right, so now on Tekken 8, I'm going to tie everything together and why I think these changes from different games would really suit Tekken 8 Raven. So let's jump into it. Firstly, I'm going to cover what I think should change about Tekken 8 Raven. Obviously, this is where I'm going to have the most changes because this is the current iteration of the game, right? So first of all, I think stop forcing him into Soul Zone. I don't want to be forced into Soul Zone after back one or after Hell Sweep. Like, I think this is crazy. Let me choose whether I want to go into Soul Zone after this, right? And same with back one. Now, the second change is allow Raven to crouch dash cancel after 2-4, after anything that he's not allowed to crouch dash cancel. Like, you can cancel crouch dash with up normally, right? Why can't he do that after Soul Zone 1 forward? I'm holding forward after Soul Zone 1 for crouch dash, but then I'm pressing up and nothing's happening. Say with 2-4, like I'm pressing up. So we're gonna put the command history on so you can actually see what I'm saying. So Soul Zone 1 forward, crouch dash. But what about if I press up, nothing happens? So I think, why can't I cancel this? Same with 2-4. Why can't I cancel the crouch dash? I think this is the bug. By the Namco, if you see this, please make this change because it just makes the character feel stiff, like more stiff than he already is. He doesn't have any mobility options out of Soul Zone other than a white hole, which I think is great. I'm not complaining, right? But I just think give him some extra mobility options that Hayes had. Like give him crouch dash out of this. See, I'm holding forward, nothing's happening. And then also 2-4 can't be cancelled, the crouch dash, and neither can Soul Zone 1 forward. It can't be cancelled, which I think would allow some deeper mind games, deeper mix-ups. No one is using Soul Zone 1, which is a shame because it's actually a good move to check people with after back 1 on block as well. So I think, yeah, give him some mobility options out of Soul Zone, crouch dash, and stop forcing me into Soul Zone. Also allow me to cancel crouch dash out of moves that currently can't be cancelled. So that's 2-4 and Soul Zone 1 forward, right? So those are some mobility changes that I would like to see for Raven in Tekken 8. The next change I would like to see is, we did briefly touch upon this in other games. Phase through attacks don't actually have that many invincibility frames, so they don't really act as they did before. They're not useful at all. And I'm going to show you why. So this sequence, we are actually going to use back 4. And you're going to see why this is really weird for Raven, because Raven obviously can't parry with back turn forward 1+2. He can't parry knees and elbows. So this is why back 4 for Asuka is really, really sick. So I'm going to show you what happens to the phase through with back 4. It's just weird. It just shouldn't happen. Look at this. See the phase through? That's a combo. This is an option select. This is an option select because, okay, you might say, well, what if he doesn't go for phase through? What about if he goes for something else? Okay, watch what happens. This one is escape parry, right? So let's restart. Punished. Punished, right? Punished. So you can do, you can still punish him for doing escape parry. We already established he can't parry that with forward 1+2 in back turn, right? So what about if he turns back around? Well, Asuka's back 4 is safe. There's no risk in doing that. There's no risk in checking it. You see? It's safe. So why wouldn't you do this move? And then if he mashes any other option, so let's say, for example, if he does Power Crush, right? You're going to see what happens now. Counter hit launched. He can't do anything about this move. And a lot of characters actually do have option selects like this, which I don't think is fair. All because there's no mix-up on Raven's 3-4, right? There's no mix-up, which I just think is stupid. So please buff the invincibility frames of phase through. Now we're going to look at Raven's risk reward in Soul Zone, right? So Soul Zone 4 currently is +2 on hit, point blank. Now, yes, you can make this move more plus, but the pushback, I can't do anything with those frames. So this is only good for making it safe, right? So offensively, trying to space this move is not good, only going to defense. Now, my point with this is +2. I can't do anything with +2. I can't full crouch sweep. I can't while standing 2. The only thing I can really do is while standing 4, right? Because I can't really mash out of that. But I can't do while standing 2. And even so, look what happens when they step. So you can actually step the only frame trap here. So again, I don't think +2 is really anything that great if you're going to keep the frames at -16 on block. Now this low is launch on block, which is crazy. So you're going to see what I mean. So personally, I think they should increase the effectiveness of the move by making the move -14 on block at point blank. Because this move currently is -16. I don't think the risk reward for throwing out the low makes sense. Especially when now, when we do heat smash, the options we want to go for are Soul Zone 2, which is a -9 on block mid. I think that's fine. Don't touch this move. But I think Soul Zone 4, if you want to go for the low, is too risky. It's too risky to do. -14 I think is fair. If you're going to keep it at +2 on hit, remove the counter hit launch. in order for us to kind of benefit from the risk reward a little bit more, because of course it does counter hit launch. So I think to balance the move as a kind of compensation nerf, I would say remove the counter hit launch, but make this -14 on block and maybe increase the plus frames on hit. But I would like a slight tweak on Soul Zone 4, because I think right now Soul Zone 4, the risk reward is just very skewed in the favor of the person who's defending against it. I think it's just not really worth it. +2, fair enough if the move was quicker, right? This is not even a frame trap. So again, it's like it's hard to justify the move staying this way when it's only +2 on hit and it's -16 on block. I think -14 is fair. And again, just touching upon his back turn throw game, we've already mentioned it, but I would like to see either his generic throws from back turn change to how they operated in older Tekken games. Like for example, his generic 1 throw would be a 1 break only, and his generic 2 throw would be a 2 break only. I think that's fair. Or if you don't want to change the generic throw system, how that works, bring back his back turn 1+4, because right now it doesn't do anything, it just jabs, right? For back turn 1-4. So I think bring back turn Undertaker, because currently this move does, we're going to check, 40 damage, by the way. It does 40 damage, but we're going to put the attack info on. As you can see, 40 damage for the throw. If you bring this back in back turn, make it do 35 damage like a generic throw would do. I think that's a fair trade-off to bring back the back turn throw mix, because the animation is the same, right? So you either make the generics an actual 1 and 2 break, or you keep the generics how they are, so it's a 1 or 2 break, and then you add in a 1+2 break into the mix again, because Raven always had a back turn throw mix just because of how the generic throw system worked. And then in Tekken 7, they brought it back to where Master Raven had a 1+2 break in back turn. So they should bring that back, but not as strong. Just make it 35 damage. Just make this from back turn 35 damage. So in combination, I think those are my changes. Bring a hit confirm window to this move if you don't bring back down 43+4 as a power mid. Currently it's not in the game, right? So if you don't want to bring that move back, what you can do is just buff QSF 1-2, right? Because you can't actually convert from the counter hit launch fully without committing to stance. Like you can't launch off this. It just doesn't work, right? You have to commit to Soul Zone, which now he's vulnerable. I mean, I'm not saying to change it. I think this is perfectly fine. I just think the move by itself needs a little bit of a buff, in my opinion. QSF 1, bring back that hit confirm window. And I think his kind of lack of power mid is gone, right? So I think that could be a really, really good change to bring back. And then obviously we did touch upon his increased while standing punishment performance. So I want this change from I-16 to I-13, -2 on hit, 24 damage. I don't think that's anything too crazy to ask for, right? Because this does 18 damage. So I'm only asking for 6 more damage potential on a I-13, right? Because our I-13 while standing move does less damage than while standing 4. So it's like, what's the point? You're just doing while standing 4 up until while standing 1. Just give us up back 1-2. And I think he would be such fun to play. And I feel like his matchup spread would greatly improve, because there's a lot of characters that can just mash and abuse really, really strong -13 lows, like Jin down back 4, Nina down back 3, Brian's Hatchet, Dragunov's down 2. There's so many -13 lows that Raven just can't really deal with, just because of the lack of I-13 while standing punishment. So I think give him an I-13. Just make this quicker. I think that would be a sick change, because this move is useless. Who actually uses this move? All those changes combined from Tekken 6, Tekken 7, and my proposed changes in Tekken 8, all in combination, would make Raven such a strong character. Not broken, but strong and super, super fun to play. And I feel like it brings back his identity and uniqueness with the character surrounding Raven, the back turn character. I don't really understand why he has one of the worst back turns in the game, which is kind of insane. So those are my Tekken 8 changes for Season 2, my wish list. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.